Polo goes back about 3,000 years. We know it was played by nomadic tribesmen throughout Asia. I've heard stories of it being played in Persia. They used it a lot to practice their cavalry techniques. It migrated to India, and then the British cavalry picked it up there, and they finally formalized it and gave it some rules, like about the 1800s. The Americans traveling overseas, ended up bringing it back to Long Island, New York. I think it was established about 1876 in America. From the history of polo to today's polo, it's developed into a game of skill, agility, precision. It's an extremely fast sport, and people that get hooked on it are really happy to play it. In polo, you have to be able to control your horse. The hardware we put on the horses is not abusive. Horses get excited during the game, so you need your weapons, even though you hopefully don't have to ever use them. What I have here is a long shank pelham bit, very effective. Most of the polo bridles come with 2 sets of reins, if you'll see here. In addition, there's a breastplate. Breastplates go on first. This keeps the saddle from slipping back during play. Then we have basically the saddle, flat with a deep seat. These are just polo wraps. The horse's legs, all 4 legs are wrapped, and that is to keep the horse protected. You're going to need a polo helmet. Highly recommended that you have a face mask. This needs to be able to stop a ball from hitting you in the face. Tall boots. In addition, knee pads are a requirement. Because of the bumping and the contact that goes on, this will protect your knee and your leg from dangers such as being hit with a mallet, hit with a ball, or the other horse hitting you. Mallets come from about 48 inches to about 54 inches in length. And they're a bamboo shaft with a hardwood head put on at about a 77-degree angle, so when you're on the horse, the mallet stays parallel to the ground. This is the official Greenfield polo ball. It's about 3.5 inches in diameter. It used to be made of wood, now it's a hard plastic, and it weighs about 3.5 to 4.5 ounces. This is a typical polo pony. About 80% of the horses you'll see playing polo are mares. They're very good, they have all the hormones. Typically your best polo ponies come from Argentina. A string of polo ponies is a minimum of 6 to play a full tournament. It's also nice to have a spare or 2 when you're playing that level. So what you want to do is have that spare just in case something happens. Good confirmation for a polo pony is what you see with her. She's got a nice long neck, a high wither, because you want to make sure you can hold the saddle on. A nice big strong back, short coupled. You don't want them long in the back. You want good bone structure. You can see horses typically have the exact size and conformation, but if the bone's not big and strong, it can't withstand the pounding and the work that goes to them. We shave their manes. It's called roaching. It keeps them a little bit cool. It helps keep them cool when they're playing, because we play polo in pretty hot weather. And also keeps the mallet and all your reins from getting tied up and tangled up in the mane. We also tie their tails up, braid the tail down, fold it back up on itself, and get it out of the way. That's because when you're running down the field and you take a big swing and the horse puts his tail in the way of your mallet, it'll make you come off the horse. The tail is done for safety, the legs are wrapped for safety, safety of the horse. There's many things that can hurt this horse. He can be tripped by another horse and go down. You can get hit by a ball, you get hit by a mallet, and it's just safer to go ahead and wrap those legs and protect them. Polo's played on a regulation grass field. Dimensions are 300 yards by 200 yards. At each end of those polo fields, there's a 2 goalposts on either end with 8 yards separating the goalpost. The goal is to get your ball between the goalposts, and height's not a requirement. There's 2 teams on the field at one time. Each team is made up of 4 players. They can be men or women. Each player is given a number. The numbers are 1 to 4, and each position has its own job. The number 1 is most aggressive. He should be always closest to the goal he's trying to score. The number 2 is the next aggressive player. They also have to back up the number 1. Your number 3 is your quarterback, and he's usually the best player on the team. And the number 4, his biggest role in polo is to defend his goal. When you're going to defend against another player, there are certain things you can do. You can ride up beside that player and actually hook his mallet and keep him from making a shot. You can also take the ball away from him. And the third thing you can do is a ride-off or a bump. And that means you can actually ride your horse into the other horse. You come in at a shallow angle, try to push them off the line. If someone gets injured or gets down and they have someone that is rated the same rating, they can substitute, but a lot of games are ended with a 4-3 or game. The handicap system starts with non-rated players, student players, and then they start the ratings at a -2. Golf has a similar handicap rating. The better you are, in polo, the higher your goal rating is what we call it in polo. That's all based on your skills as determined by people in your polo team, by your delegate to the U.S. Polo Association, and by the number of horses you can bring to the field. We have 4 basic shots in polo, and they have to do with the side of the horse you're striking from. Polo is always played with the right hand. And now on a horse we call the near side the left side of the horse, and the off side is the right side of the horse. So we have forward shots and backward shots on the off side, and forward shots and backward shots on the near side. There are various variations of these where you will cut the ball under the horse's neck or around the horse's tail, but those are pretty much the 4 basic shots. The games are made up of from 4 to 6 or even 8 chukkers if needed. The chukker is a 7-minute period. The game will start with the umpire bowling the ball in between the 2 teams in midfield, and then the game is stopped at the end of the chukker, either because someone's made a goal or hit the ball outside of bounds, or if the ball is still in play, the umpire blows a whistle and the chukker is stopped. And then when the next come out for the next chukker, you start at that point with a bowl in at the point where the ball laid at the end of the last chukker. There's usually about 3 minutes in between chukkers. Horses are played once or maybe twice in a game, a 6-chukker game. So, and there has to be at least 1 chukker rest for the pony in between that. Time is of the essence. Everyone is hustling between chukkers to get back on the field, because if you delay the game, they will start without you. There are 2 mounted umpires on the field at all times during the game. They're responsible for starting and stopping the game, calling fouls. Once an umpire calls a penalty or calls a foul, he confers with the other umpire to get concurrence. If they cannot agree, then they go to the 3rd man and he makes a decision. And he's usually on the sidelines on a stand where he can see the action and keep track of the game. The rules in polo are all set up for safety reasons. You've got galloping horses and people with sticks in their hands swinging them around, and the opportunity for injury is strong. Most of them have to do with right away on the field. In polo, there's what they call the line of the ball. The line of the ball is an imaginary line that the ball is traveling on in a straight line from where it's hit or where it should have been hit to infinity. And the person that's on the line of that ball, closest to the line of the ball, has the right of the line of the ball. He's got the right of way. But what you want to make sure that you don't do is cross the line of the ball. These are calls for penalties. There's also fouls that will be called for dangerous riding. And once you do a foul, then the umpires will determine what the penalty for that foul is. And that usually depends on the severity of the foul. The rules in polo don't really allow for the clock to stop except for a foul shot or for injuries on the field. A player can request that the umpire give him a timeout for a broken or loose tack. If there's a broken tack that causes dangerous to lose control of the mount, that's automatically, you call a timeout for that right away. I would recommend anybody to get started in polo to try to find a school locally in their area that has good trained polo ponies. Typically the students I have are over 12 or 13 years old with some pretty good riding skills to start with. If they can ride well, we can get them playing, hitting the ball around in less than 1 class. I start with basics of polo. I give them some strategy on a blackboard basically so they understand what the line of the ball is and where they should be. We start off with foot mallets, and I introduce them just to the basic shots. It's important for them to practice To become an experienced polo player, you need to play what we call stick and ball, which is you go out in the field with your horse and your mallet, and you work that each horse, depending on how many horses you have, but 20 to 30 minutes and do nothing but practice. So you need to go out and practice all your shots about 150 times each shot when you do your stick and ball. And you need to do that 3 times a week to really get good. It's difficult to put in that much time as an amateur. There are a lot of pros out there that do it. These polo ponies are phenomenal animals and athletes. You do short work and train them to stop and turn on a dime and roll back and work off their hind end. And when they're in the game, they actually get into the game. If you watch the game being played, you'll wonder how a rider can control a horse to the line of the ball and hit that ball with accuracy. And typically the horse is taking him to the ball. If you hit that ball, that horse will turn, get on the line